everyone, this is Sam from Tech Gaming Villa. I hope you all are well. Today I'm going to talk about the True TV, the Sony X95L Mini LED TV, and right side Samsung S90C, which is OLED TV. If you're new in my channel, then please subscribe and press the bell icon for future notifications and upcoming videos. I have another channel named Awesome Tech Gaming Pro, where I upload similar kind of tech videos like TV comparison, sound system, home theater, graphics cards. You can check and subscribe. First, time to talk about the Sony X95L, which is the best LCD TV on 2023. Actually, all LCD TVs require a backlight. If we travel back in time a bit, we will see the first LCD TVs used cold cathode fluorescent bulbs, then moved to LEDs, at which point we stopped calling these LCD TVs and just LED TVs for short. Today, LCD TV backlighting technology has evolved toward using what we call mini LEDs. Mini LEDs are much smaller than regular LED backlights. That means Sony can cram way more of them in the same amount of space, and that also means those lights can be gathered into more and smaller local dimming zones, where the mini LEDs can be brightened and dimmed according to what happens on the screen. That's a desirable point of technology, because in theory, the more local dimming zones you have, the more control you would have over the contrast on the screen, and the less blooming you would have around bright objects on dark backgrounds. X95 is a mini LED TV, and it does have a respectable number of dimming zones. It probably does not have as many as, say, the TCL QM8 mini LED TV. I say probably because despite trying, I have been unable to count the number of zones on this TV. It's simply too hard for me to do using the conventional method of watching a teeny white box scrolling across the screen. Having a lot of backlight dimming zones is not an advantage unless the TV also has a processor powerful enough to handle all of those zones. Specifically, the TV needs a really good local dimming algorithm to make sure all those zones dim and brighten quickly and precisely. Somewhat ironically, if any TV brand has the chops to build a super advanced local dimming algorithm, it's Sony. But that wasn't Sony's goal here. Instead, Sony sought to strike a balance between contrast, which admittedly is the most noticeable aspect of picture quality, and all of the other elements of picture quality. And folks, Sony did it. Let's talk about its brightness and color balance. To test this TV, the Sony's custom picture preset, and I recommend anyone who buys this TV to use that picture preset for both HDR and HDR content watching. For Dolby Vision, I usually used Dolby Vision Bright. Go in a dark room, Dolby Vision Dark works quite well too. In HDR, with the TV's brightness set at the default of 35, I got 520 nits peak from a 10% window. If I bumped the brightness setting up to max, the TV went up to 640 nits, which is not only comparable to similarly priced competitions such as the TCL QM8 and Hisense U8K, but is also sufficiently bright enough to present a vivid picture during daytime viewing. The X95L's out-of-the-box white balance and grayscale in the custom picture preset were very good, with a max delta E of 4. That was restricted to the brightest white test pattern. Otherwise, the white balance results all came in below 3, which is considered the threshold for human perception. Color accuracy was also excellent for an uncalibrated TV with very low errors across the board. Cyan, interestingly, was the only slightly rogue color, along with some adjustment colors. The story was similar for the HDR as tested in the TV's custom picture preset. The white balance was just a bit off, with a bit too much red in it, but nothing you would be likely to see with your eyes. You need a coloring maker to catch these errors I'm talking about. After I adjusted the X95L's white balance, I noted that peak brightness in HDR dropped by a barely perceptible level. In HDR, peak brightness appeared to top out at about 2000 nits, according to the most common testing method. With that out of the way, I wanted to evaluate how the X95L's backlight behaved. This is what I think everyone wants to know. How are the black levels and the blooming? Well, the black levels are outstanding, which is to say that When they should be pure black, they are. But more importantly, when there's shadow detail to be seen, is there to be seen. When testing this, I originally started with a House of the Dragon episode as streamed from the TV's built-in Max streaming app. It's insanely dim content. I wanted to see how the black letterbox bars looked, and honestly they looked grey, but there was no real booming in a shot where the bright light at the bottom runs right against the letterbox bars. So I switched to a different title, Justice League. In this movie, the black pillars bars are on the left and right of the image. I got the same result, grayish bars instead of black. I was beginning to wonder if this might be a problem with the Max app. Similar how there seems to be a YouTube app problem on PCs right now. And sure enough, I loaded up the on Disney Plus and noticed right away, but not only are the black letterbox bars pitch black, but straight pitch black with the caption turned on, which is a real torture test. So awesome news to report on black levels and blooming, but not such great news for the implementation of the Max app on at least X95L TV. Likewise, in the bright areas, bright highlights were blown out, so long as the gradation preferred setting was on. If you choose brightness preferred, you will get a bright overall picture and even more intense highlights, but you might lose some brightness detail. At least you have that option if you want. And that's where the Sony just redesigns things. Detail resolution, sharpness, color accuracy, gradients, upscaling, tone mapping, motion. The Sony X95L did itself proud. But one area I really want to highlight is OpEx's performance. This wide angle technology is doing a stellar job here. There's little perceived role of the contrast and color saturation as you move up to the side. It's so impressive. This TV is so good. Like I said, it's the best LCD TV on 2023 mini LED. I really consider it an amazing achievement, and I'm inclined to give it a perfect 10. On the other hand, if you see the Samsung S90C, this is a different technology. S90C is that it is a quantum dot OLED TV. This new take on OLED technology designed by Samsung sees blue light pushed through layers of quantum dots to create other colors. This approach removes the pure white component that appears in traditional OLED construction, potentially resulting in richer, more accurate colors, especially in the brightest parts of the picture and potentially brighter images. For the second generation of QD-OLED, Samsung has improved the filtering in the screen to reduce the potential for ambient light to affect black levels, tweaked the organic materials it uses, and improved the panel's efficiency to boost brightness without increasing energy use, and improved the way the software monitors the activity of all the screen's pixels to further boost contrast and extend the panel's effective lifespan. S90C was the same upgraded version of Samsung's Neural Quantum 4K processor that the flagship S95C QD-OLED TVs made in 2023, which uses the combined learning of 20 neural networks to introduce multiple AI-based refinements to the way the TV treats incoming sources, including in particular supposedly better upscaling of HD and SD content to the screen's native 4K resolution. There is one significant way in which the S90C differs from the S95C, though: brightness. We have long known that this would be the case without it being clear just how substantial the difference would be. But now that we can measure it, it is significant. This is probably a good point to say once more that while 55, 65 and 77 inches S90C TVs are QD-OLED models, and 83-inch model uses more traditional WOLED technology. The S90C's connectivity is excellent, with all four of its HDMI's Pro being capable of handling almost everything today's cutting-edge gamers could want, including 4K 120Hz or 144Hz and VRR. The HDMIs also support HD10, HLG and HD10+. High dynamic range formats, but not the popular Dolby Vision system. Dolby Vision content will therefore play as HD10 without the extra scene by scene picture information. That's the format's big selling point. HD10 Plus also provides extra scene by scene picture data, but sources that support this format are less numerous than Dolby Vision ones. So it's a real shame that Samsung doesn't include it. The S90C's audio system isn't as cutting edge as its picture, but it is 40-watt 2:1 channel configuration is supported by Samsung's innovative object tracking sound system, which uses clever processing and speaker placement to help sound effects and dialogue appear to be coming from the correct on-screen area. Let's talk about its picture quality. Now, what we have been able to actually measure the brightness of both S90C, it turns out to hit just under 1100 nits of light on a white HDR window, feeling 10% off an otherwise black screen. In comparison, the S95C get up to around 1400 nits. That means the S90C is around 20% less bright, a significant difference for sure. Though, given the price difference, it's worth saying that the S90C is also around 20% brighter on the 10% HDR window than the best regular OLED TVs such as the LG C3, which is very close to in price. Dedicated followers of TV fashion will likely know that LG has introduced another new type of OLED technology in its latest LG G3 series that uses micro lens array to achieve a brightness levels up there with the S95C. So the S90C is around 20% less bright than the LG G3 too. But again, it's also significantly cheaper. So yes, the bad news is that the 300 nits or so of brightness the S90C misses out on versus the S95C is definitely not shareable, especially when viewing bright images that fill pretty much the entire screen rather than images that contain a mixture of light and dark. This is no more than we'd expect, given that we have seen much smaller differences than 300 nits deliver visually obvious disparities in brightness. You can clearly see with the naked eye. However, I can actually see some home theater fans, especially those fond of watching films in darkened room settings, potentially preferring the slightly gentler, less expensively dynamic look of the S90C's to those of the blazingly intense S95C. And as I said, it's noticeably brighter than the regular OLED TVs, that its price puts it in more direct competition with. It's up to 300 nits brighter on the 10% wide HDR window test, and as I've already said, that's more than enough of a difference to deliver a benefit that's clear to the naked eye. The S90C's brightness advantage with an HDR window covering the entire screen, meanwhile versus a model such as LG C3 is also not far off 30%, all of which means that whatever you are watching, be it a dark scene with bright highlights or something that's consistently bright right across the screen, the S90C looks brighter than any of the closest OLED rivals. So the X95L and Samsung S90C both are different technology. Definitely OLED is better, but some people like the bright, vivid color and contrast, and some are like the dark and OLED color. It's the people's choice. So what's your thought about this 2 TB, which TB you like most? Please write in the comments below. That's it from now.